Hello, hello. Say hello in the comments. Let me know where you're listening from. I am super excited to be here today, so I hope you guys are excited too. I want to talk about post-breakup glow-up and healing, and I had some of you send in questions, so I'm going to go over the questions, and then we're going to do a little bit of tapping. So to start off, I just want everybody to just take a nice deep breath with me. Put your hand on your heart. A deep inhale, a deep belly breath inhale. Holding at the top. And then release. And just allow yourself to find your own rhythm. Taking a deep breath. Grounding in to yourself, to each other. Hello, hello. So if you guys have any questions about breakups or what you may be going through, feel free to put them in the comments and I will answer them as we go along. I have some questions already that you guys sent in. So I'm going to start off by answering those first and let you guys just figure out what you feel or what's coming up for you, and then you guys can ask your questions and then we can do some tapping together, okay? Thank you, Anna. Okay, so one of the first questions that I got is tips for healing when your ex cheats on you and moves on immediately. And this can be so painful, and I totally see you and hear you and feel for you. And the thing that comes to mind when I think about the healing journey, especially when someone has betrayed you, is that there are so many layers of that betrayal and being promised a life. Like there's empty promises there's broken promises, there's lies, and a whole bunch of things that usually go on within a relationship when there's infidelity. So what I always suggest to everybody, and I feel like the questions and the answers that I'm giving that have come up today, they're kind of all intertwined, so I might bounce back and forth to like the similar thing. So the first thing is to start to heal and release that betrayal and the hurt that's there for you, that's active. And you don't have to forgive and release everything at once. I believe that healing happens in layers. So as you are ready to heal and release, you can start moving through those layers as you feel called to. So just listen to your body and listen to your heart and ask yourself, like, what is really present for me in this moment? What am I ready to let go of? What am I ready to heal? And usually it's the thing that's most triggering to you is what you can start working through. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Carla. I should probably introduce myself. But I am an EFT practitioner. And what that means is that I help people move through emotion using EFT, which is a talk therapy. And if you haven't heard of EFT before, we're going to do it in a little bit so you can experience it for yourself. But it's really reprogramming your brain into thinking this experience equaled this horrible emotion. And so, yes, it is true, and we don't want to minimize it. We actually want to honor it. And by honoring those emotions that are coming up for us and not pushing them down or ignoring them, it heals them. Just by shining the light on it, it heals it. And so as you start looking at the things that are coming up for you, the betrayal and the hurt and the infidelity, you will start to heal it. But most importantly, there are probably a ton of broken promises, and just grieving the loss of the life that you thought you were going to have, grieving the loss of the person you thought you were with, who turned out to be like a completely different person, grieving everything as a whole, is going to be really, really important to help you move through this. So being very gentle with yourself, having compassion, and knowing that you get to do it in layers and steps, and you get to do it as slowly or as quickly as you want. and setting that intention that it's gentle for you, and that you're like anchoring in or setting the intention that you're ready for that next step of healing, and that next step will present itself to you. So if you've been setting that intention of like, I really want to heal this and I don't know how, and you're on this live stream or watching the replay, then you're in the right place and you're being guided. So that is perfect. So if you have any questions about that, let me know in the comments and I will answer them. Okay, so Facebook, I think I am seeing the comments live. So if I don't answer them because this looks weird to me, I will come back and answer them in the comments later on. So the other thing that comes up for people is releasing physical things that belong to your ex. And why this is so important is because their energy is still in those physical things. And when you see that physical thing, like let's say it's a sweater or a gift that he gave you, every time you see that thing, you're going to re-trigger all of those emotions that you have not yet looked at, that you haven't healed yet. So any person, place, or thing or experience that you have an emotional connection and relationship with it. And so just because you walked away from that situation doesn't mean that you healed it. When you come back, you're going to meet it at the exact same place that you left off. So let's say your best friend, for example, you haven't seen her since high school. You guys have kept in touch. Every time you see her on social media, your face lights up and you get happy to see her because the connection in your brain is this person equals a great experience. And then if you do end up seeing them in person, you pick up right where you left off, just like, you guys haven't spent any time apart at all. You guys have the greatest time and you're laughing and everything. So that same applies to your ex and their physical things. So wherever you left off that journey or that experience, if it was in sadness or anger or grief, when you get re-triggered by looking at and having these physical things or reminders in your space, you're going to re-trigger those same emotions again. Does that make sense? Put a 1 in the comments if that makes sense to you guys. So that's why it's so important to heal and to do the work, because if not, then you just leave everything at the exact same place that it's been at for the past however many years it's been. So how can I follow you on Facebook? Please. So on Facebook, you can follow me at, it's facebook.com/XO Carla Mejia. So you can follow me there and watch there if you want to. Okay, so I got a 1 in the comments. That makes sense. Thank you. And okay, so that is the importance of why you want to do the healing work, because if you don't, like, you're always going to have, like, imagine trying to move forward, but you have like a hook on your back and it keeps pulling you back and you keep saying like, but I want to move on. And, or you want to, like, you're dating somebody new, but they have those same tendencies as your ex because you haven't healed that pattern. And so that energy within dating life and relationships is still active. And so as long as it's active, you're going to keep repeating the same patterns and recreating the same relationships all over again. And so one of the things that I help my clients do is really coming to a place where they set themselves free. And the only way that so far that I've seen to be able to do this is by doing the work and working through all of your triggers and working through, like, doing the healing, so that if you see them walking down the street or somebody brings up your ex, you no longer have that physical reaction, and it's more of a calm, neutral, like, energy that comes. Or you can rewrite the story to be a positive story. So for example, if my mom, for example, divorced my dad, and okay, my dad wasn't the one for her, fine, but instead of being angry anytime he gets brought up, she can just have gratitude and appreciation, just knowing that he's a good dad and he's there for his kids, and she doesn't have to worry like that he's going to say he's going to come pick up his kids or come see his kids and then he doesn't. She can be grateful that he's like reliable and he's totally there for his kids, and their kids have a dad. So just finding those little nuggets that you can either find neutrality in and or be grateful, that would be even better. Really helps to like heal that story and shift that energy. But first you have to like really get out all of the anger, all of the frustration, in order to do that. And that's where tapping comes in. Okay, so the next question I got, if you guys have questions, those of you who have just joined, feel free to put them in the comments and I will answer them as they come up. The next question I got is trying to, like, how can I forget my ex? Like, I just want to stop thinking about them and totally forget they ever existed. And I don't know what's going on Facebook, but if you guys are on Facebook and are struggling, then hop on to Instagram and follow me, because this is being wonky and I don't know what's wrong with it. Okay, so trying to forget your ex. The reason why it doesn't work is because that energetic tie is still there, and as long as it's still active, you won't be able to forget them and you won't be able to just let them go. You can distract yourself. However, it's like subconscious, in your subconscious mind, because the rewiring and the reprogramming hasn't been done yet. It's like you took that memory, put it in a box and shoved it on a shelf, like in the attic of your subconscious mind. And eventually it's going to come back up again. Eventually it's going to resurface. And that's why it doesn't work in the long term. It could work in the short term if you distract yourself by doing something else. But in the long term, you're not healing anything. And so there's no point. And the other thing that I wanted to mention is that if you had a toxic relationship with your ex, toxic relationships, because of the intense highs and lows and ups and downs that you experience throughout that relationship, your body becomes addicted to those highs and lows. So you're literally breaking an addiction when you're breaking up with somebody who you've had a toxic relationship with. And that can be so intense and so difficult to navigate on your own, which is why I always recommend having support if you're going through that. And if you need support, you can DM me and ask me. But in general, it's like breaking an addiction. And that means you have to figure out new ways of being. Like there's new habits. So let's say a traditional addiction to drugs and alcohol. Let's do coffee and smoking. So a lot of people that smoke, when they quit smoking, because it's linked to coffee, they have to also stop drinking coffee or like start drinking tea so the coffee doesn't trigger their cigarette addiction. So you have finding a new habit and new routines and self-care to fulfill that need that addiction, that craving is wanting. And there's always like a hidden message or like a healing that needs to happen because of the addiction, because we're normally numbing out. But that's a whole nother story. So with a toxic relationship, it's a little bit more complicated. So just keeping in mind that it does take a little bit extra effort and that there are new habits that need to be instilled and integrated in order to, it's basically you're looking for habits that are creating a grounding and safe space for you and for you to be now more comfortable and for your default emotions to be on the grounded, safe side instead of that toxic roller coaster ride and being addicted to it. So Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about when we live within a certain emotional state for a long period of time, it eventually becomes part of our personality and part of our identity and our being. So let's say somebody's grumpy for whatever reason, something happened to them. If they wake up in the morning and they subconsciously look for something to get grumpy about or to get angry about because they're addicted to that cycle of anger and rage. And so it's really stopping that habit and making the intention to shift that and to really be intentional on how you desire to feel and recreating or intentionally creating situations to help you feel that way. So the power plant doesn't have energy, it generates energy. So the same way that you don't just wake up in the morning and feel happy or motivated or like excited, you have to do something to generate those feelings. Like coffee, for example, you don't just wake up and feel excited and like energized. You have to do something, drink the coffee or work out or do your breath work to get excited and to feel awake and alive in the morning. So just being, I guess, aware of your own toxic habits, the toxic habits that you find yourself within relationships, and seeing what is the core need that you, like, we all have, I think there's like 6 human needs that Tony Robbins talks about, which are certainty, uncertainty, growth, connection, and I forget the other 2 right now. But there are specific human needs and desires. Oh, safety and security is the other one. But there's certain needs that and desires that we have. So we have to make sure that we are giving that to ourselves in a healthy way. Okay, so I have some questions. Let me just go back. I'm in a religious person who is hiding me from his family, and I want to end things, but I'm afraid of mourning this relationship. Okay. So being afraid of mourning the relationship. So being afraid, let me know if this is true, Leanne. Being afraid of the intensity of those emotions, that you're going to feel emotions and they're going to be so intense that you'd rather not feel them, that you'd rather not go through them. So that is, I feel for you, and that is very normal for us to know that we need to end something and hold off on it because we know it's going to be so uncomfortable. So what I would suggest for you is to really sit down in meditation and get clear on what's so uncomfortable. What are you so afraid of feeling? And really prepare yourself energetically and emotionally for the discomfort and have an action plan in place so that when it does happen, that you're prepared and ready, and also set the intention that it's going to be easy and gentle for you throughout the process, because I find that also is really, really helps. So in my old relationship with my ex, and in general, any healing that I do for myself or with my clients, setting the intention that it's going to be gentle and easy for you, and that you're going to know when to take the next steps, that you're going to be guided when you are ready to take that next step. So right now you might just have the awareness. So you can sit in meditation and ask yourself, what would it take for me to be ready? What would it take for me to feel safe moving through this? What do I need to know? How do I need to prepare myself to go through this? And just start asking yourself questions to prepare yourself. And once you feel like you're ready, you can declare, I'm ready for the next step. Show me the way. I'm ready for the next step. And you only need to know what your next one step is. You don't need to know the whole journey or the whole process. So that would be my recommendation for you, is setting that intention. And once you start looking at things and shining light on what you're truly afraid of, and you can do this with a coach, because they're usually really good at having like that bird's eye view of the situation and helping you get through that. And so we're going to tap in a second, so you'll see how quickly emotions can shift, and that will be really powerful for you to experience, I think, as well. Okay, Anna, doing the work like journaling and self-awareness is the one I struggle with the most. Yes. Okay, so doing the work like journaling and self-awareness is a struggle. So there could be something that you're afraid to uncover. Like you're afraid of how, for a lack of better words, like how ugly, like you're afraid to ugly cry, or you're afraid to like see the truth because it's going to be painful and it's going to really be uncomfortable and it's going to hurt. Taking baby steps and reminding yourself that you're safe to move through this process, that you're safe to move through your healing, reminding yourself that you deserve it, and also setting that intention that it's going to be gentle, and eliminating anything that, I guess, prevents you from doing it in terms of like numbing out or like wanting to avoid it. So you can even look at like asking yourself, what am I truly afraid of? Like, what am I afraid that I'm going to see or uncover? And a lot of the times there'll be an answer there for you. And when you face it and shine light on it, a lot of the times we think that the scary monster under the bed is like humongous, and really it's just like a sock or like a dust bunny or something that's like so tiny, because in our heads we build it up to be this big huge thing, when really when we look at the facts of the truth of what it is, it's not that big at all. So that is what I would recommend. If anyone else has questions, you're welcome, Leanne. Oh shit. Okay, let me just check my notes and see if there was anything else. So why do I still think about my ex even though it's been so long, and tips for focusing on the future and not the past. So as long as... So the reason why you're still thinking about your ex even though it's been so long is because the healing hasn't happened yet. So that energy and that energetic connection is still active, even though it might be like stored away in your subconscious mind in the deep, darkest corner. It's still there, and there's still something that you feel like you need closure on, or there's something left unsaid. So I would, again, recommend you to get it all out of you, like vent it all out, write it down in a letter, and move through those emotions so that you can let it go. The only way to let something go is to truly dive in deep and go through all of the emotions that you have for this person, so that you can release it and make space for the future. So people say, like I said before, distracting yourself from your ex or the past, it's just, you're just creating a cycle, like a loop of energy of like, okay, fine, I was here, I'm thinking about him, I'm going to distract myself, but eventually I come right back to it. So again, it's doing the work and just honoring your emotions. And I know that it could feel so intense, and it's okay to feel that intensity. Eventually those emotions will pass and dissipate, and once you release them, then you're like healing it in layers. So Dr. Joe Dispenza says that if we feel an emotion longer than 90 seconds, it's because we keep looping back to the same story over again, because we're ruminating, we're reliving the same story over and over again. And every time we relive a memory of the past, our brain doesn't know the difference between you just thinking about a memory versus you actually going through it again. So in the brain, it's the same thing. And the more you relive it, the more you keep re-triggering yourself and creating that connection in your brain of this person and this experience equals this horrible thing. So that's why it's important to, when something comes up, to just lean into it, feel it all, so that you can let it go. Because if you don't let it go, then you keep coming back to it, because it's like a problem that needs to be solved. Like, you know how you have nightmares because you couldn't like figure out that math problem at school, or you forgot to do something? It's the same with the brain. Anytime you ask yourself a question, your brain will automatically come up with a response. Whether it's right or wrong, it doesn't matter. It comes up with a response because that's how the brain's, like, that's how it works. So if you say to yourself, why am I so fat? Your brain's automatically going to have the response because you eat like shit, because you're doing this or you're not doing that. But if you switch the question around and say, how can I become healthier? How can I feel healthier in my body? You're going to get a different answer. Your body's going to start giving you answers of, you can go for a walk after lunch. You can eat this snack instead of this. It's going to give you suggestions to answer the question that you're asking. So if you keep asking, why am I still thinking about him? Start asking yourself, how can I heal this? How can I get over this person? How can I heal this relationship and move on? And those answers your brain's going to come up with answers for that question. And deep down, you don't need a book or a coach or anybody to tell you. You know the answer. It's already within you. Everything that you've ever needed in your entire life is already within you. You know deep down what it is. You just have to tap into that aspect of yourself that knows the answer and get yourself out of that energy of like, I'm lost, I don't know what to do. Because you do know what to do. But if you still need help, I will help you. And I will tell you, or I will guide you through something. Okay. What else? So creating a deeper sense of self-trust is one of the things that my clients crave when they start working with me. And the thing, the catch-22 is the more you do the work on yourself and the more you honor your emotions and look at the things that upset you and trigger you, and the more, you dive into this and heal it, the more you trust yourself to show up for yourself and the more self-trust you create within yourself. So the more action you take to move through this, the more you trust yourself. And a lot of people don't want to hear that, but that is the truth. Because when you think about who you trust and what that trusting person, what do they provide for you? It's that consistency. You know that they're going to do the right thing, and that's why you trust them. And so you now need to do that for yourself. So we are going to do a quick tapping on being open to your next step in healing. So if you guys have any questions, put them in the comments right now, and I will answer them. Excuse me. And if there are no questions, we're going to do some tapping. And I just want you to take a moment for yourself. Place your hand on your heart. Honoring yourself for being here in this moment. You can close your eyes or keep them open. I'm going to tap on my body and say some phrases, and you're going to repeat after me. If anything I say doesn't feel like it 100% resonates with you, then you can just switch out the word or the phrase for something that feels more true for you. But for the most part, all you have to do is just follow along and tap with me. So tapping on the side of the hand on the karate chop point. Even though I feel stuck on my healing journey, I'm choosing to love, honor, and accept myself anyways. Even though it's taken longer than I wish, I'm choosing to love and honor my journey. Even though I don't really know what to do next, I'm choosing to trust myself. And I love and honor myself anyways. Top of the head. I feel like I've been stuck in this cycle. Eyebrow point. Reliving this breakup. Side of the eyes. Feeling all of this sadness underneath the eyes. Afraid of my emotions underneath the nose. Trying to shove it all aside underneath the mouth and pretend that I'm okay. Collarbone point. But the truth is, underneath the arms, that I have some healing work to do. Underneath the chest. And I'm choosing to honor where I am now. wrist points. When I think about feeling my emotions, top of the head, I get a little bit of anxiety. Eyebrow point, because I'm afraid of what might come up. Side of the eye, I feel all of this anxiety. Underneath the eyes, running through my body. Underneath the nose, but I'm choosing to honor it now. Underneath the mouth, choosing to honor where I am on this journey. Collarbone point, setting the intention. Underneath the arms, that I'm ready for my next step. Underneath the chest, even though I have no idea what I'm doing. Wrist points. I know that deep down I have the answer. Top of the head. I want to prepare myself for the next step. Eyebrow point, so that I can move forward with ease. Side of the eye, so I can start making progress. Underneath the eyes, on my healing journey. Underneath the nose, honoring all anxiety. Underneath the mouth, and all the fears that come up. Collarbone point, choosing to feel them all now. Underneath the arms, and release them. Take a nice deep breath. And just feeling into your body, noticing if anything came up for you, if any of the statements we said triggered you or just inspired an idea or an action within you. Let me know in the comments if you feel better or lighter, or if anything came up for you. Facebook, I am so sorry that I cannot see your comments. But Instagram, we are good. Okay. So next round, we're just going to tap in that safety and just feeling secure to move through our emotions. So tapping back into yourself, honoring your emotions and what's coming up for you. Starting off on the top of the head. This whole healing thing. Eyebrow point makes me kind of nervous. Side of the eye, but I'm choosing to lean in. Underneath the eyes, especially because I'm setting the intention. Underneath the nose, that this is going to be very gentle. Underneath the mouth, knowing that I'm going to be guided. Collarbone point, to the right thing for me. Underneath the arms, and that this process can be as long or as short as I want. Underneath the chest, knowing that I can take my time. Wrist points, honoring each step of the way. Top of the head, I'm safe to feel it all. Eyebrow point. I'm safe to express my emotions. Side of the eye. I'm safe to let it all out. Underneath the eyes. I'm safe to move through this healing journey. Underneath the nose. I'm safe to feel my feelings. Underneath the mouth. I'm safe to feel my feelings. Collarbone point. I'm safe to move through my healing journey. Underneath the arms, and I'm safe to do it on my own time. Underneath the chest, and I'm safe to do it in my own way. Wrist points, because I am fully supported. Top of the head, and I'm choosing to lean in. Eyebrow point, I am safe to feel all of my emotions. Side of the eye, I'm safe for the next step. Taking a nice deep breath. Tapping into your body and just taking note of how you feel and anything that came up for you. Let me know in the comments. Feeling much lighter. Yay, Leanne, I'm happy. If you guys have any questions about that, let me know in the comments. So we did a short little tapping there just to move through any anxiety that's coming up around going through the healing process, because I know it can be intense. And of course, everybody has their own anxieties. So definitely if we were doing a tapping session together, we would customize that to address your own specific fears and anxieties that come up around this. But just feeling that shift of just feeling lighter, doing this short tapping, imagine the transformation and the journey that you could go through if you take something that's very heavy. Within one session, you can move from intense anxiety to little, if any, anxiety at all. So just allowing yourself to marinate in the lightness that we just tapped in, allowing yourself to just be gentle with yourself and feel the feelings. I would encourage you to do some journaling work after this live stream so that you, anything that came up that you wanted to capture, you can. If you have any next steps, you can write those down for yourself. And that is all. I love you guys. I will see you guys later.